We're starting into our first look into trigonometry. There are three different trig ratios that we will be using. The first one, and this is what the video will be over, is sine. You will find sine actually on your calculator as SIN. It is not sin because there is that E there, so it is sine. So what does this mean for me? If I have the sine of an angle, that equals opposite over hypotenuse. Okay. By the way, this has to be with a right triangle. So looking at this, I have a right triangle. Opposite of the right triangle, this is what we call our hypotenuse. So side lengths opposite of the right angle. The opposite can be, it could depend on where your angle's at. So for instance, let's say I'm looking at this angle here. If that's the case, I need to go opposite of that angle. So this would be considered my opposite side. This is what we call adjacent. Now, this could change if I was looking at a different angle within this triangle. So if I was dealing with this angle, my opposite there is actually what the green adjacent was. But your hypotenuse will always stay the same. Like I said, though, the opposite just depends on what angle you are working with. So, how do I use the sine? What do I do with this? All right, so I've got an angle here that's 30 degrees. My hypotenuse is 12, and we are trying to find the opposite side. So I just set up my ratio. So it's the sine of, and it's always your degree measure. So sine 30 equals, well, what's opposite of the 30? That would be the x over 12. Okay, so now looking at this, I need to get x by itself. So in order to do that, I need to multiply both sides by 12 because it would cancel over here. So now I've got 12 sine of 30 equals x. I can just type that directly right into my calculator as I see it. Make sure that you're in degree mode. That's a little note here. If you are using a TI 30, in the screen it should show up as DEG in the bottom of that screen. If you're using a big graphing calculator, you know, a TI 83 or higher, you need to click mode and make sure that degree is highlighted. So when I type this in, I should get x equals 6. Now, sometimes they won't give you that angle measure, and you are asked to find that angle measure. So finding the angle measure is a little bit trickier. Let's say that my hypotenuse is 14, my opposite side is 5. So I've got the sine of my degree, my angle is x, equals 5 over 14. So in order to find our degree, we need to take the inverse. So it'll look like sine to the power of -1, 5 over 14 equals x. So we switch the x and the 5 over 14, put a -1. Now how do you get this? So you hit second sine and then type in 5 divided by 14, enter. Okay, so those are the calculator steps there. And that's regardless of whether you're using a graphing calculator or a TI 83. You will round this to the nearest tenth. So x equals 20.9 degrees as your final answer. So with this, we're working on trying to find different side lengths and different angle measures strictly based on the sine trig ratio. We will be working on the other three down the road.